And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC Sports podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fourth segment, I'm going to be talking about Bryce Young and his resurgence. But before I do, I would like to answer the question that Anthony had in the chat, because he was asking like what was the difference between a regular injury and a non-contact injury, and I just remembered an example for it. So I don't know if you watched this, but the Super Bowl between the Bengals and the Rams, I don't know if you remember that game, but Odell Beckham Jr., he ended up going out in the middle of that game, and he went out due to a non-contact injury. So if you want to like look up the Super Bowl and you look up Odell Beckham Jr.'s injury, then you'll see what a non-contact injury is like. But essentially, what he was doing was he was just trying to catch the ball. The ball was a little bit like thrown behind him instead of like in front of him, so he had to contort his body a little bit awkwardly, and because of that, his right foot, I believe, or maybe his left, I don't know entirely which foot it was, but it was awkward. It was an awkward position. There was nobody near him. He dropped the pass, but then he went down with an injury, right? So it was a completely awkward play for him. And you can go ahead and look at that video if you're interested. But yeah, that was the Super Bowl between the Bengals and the Rams, when the Rams ended up beating them a couple years ago. So that's what a non-contact injury is. But let's get into this segment talking about Bryce Young. Now, he has been unbelievable in these last few games for the Panthers. And when I thought he was going to be a bust, I cannot lie, I thought he was going to be a complete bust for the majority of his career, but it seems like he has been on a little bit of a comeback. I don't know what it was, but that benching has completely flipped his play style and has completely flipped everything that we know about Bryce Young. So in the last few games that Bryce Young has played, he has 858 passing yards, 5 total touchdowns, and only 1 interception. He has an 84.6 passer rating, which is third in the NFL in the last 5 weeks, which again, really, really good. And another stat, he has also been able to lead his team to a game-tying or a game-winning drive in all 4 of the games that he's been playing. He has been, like the last 4 games, right? He has been incredible. And he's also led the Panthers to back-to-back wins for the first time since 2021. This is just a complete resurgence coming in from Bryce Young, right? I thought about, again, I always thought that Bryce Young, even when he was getting into the league, he was a very highly touted draft pick. But in his first year, I wrote him off entirely. I thought he was going to be a bust. I thought he was too short to be playing that quarterback position. Kyler Murray, he's short as well, but again, it's like Kyler Murray is completely different. He's actually good, and he knows how to scramble and all that stuff. And this is a rookie. Comparing a rookie to Kyler Murray is like child's play. Get it? Because they look like children when they run on the field. But regardless, I wrote him off entirely. He had a 2-14 record as the starting quarterback in last season, and I didn't think it was going to get any better, especially with the start of this season going in, where he threw more interceptions than he threw touchdowns. I did not think that Bryce Young was going to be able to play this well in the last few games that he's been playing in. So he started out the year going 1 for 5 in touchdowns to interceptions, and now in the year he is 6 for 6 for touchdown to interception ratio. So not all that good, but in the last few weeks that he's been playing, you can see that he increased that efficiency, and he's been playing much better than what he did in the first few years, or in the first year, excuse me. I know the injury you're talking about. He basically blew out his knee planting it in the middle of a route. Yes, that's exactly what that is. That is exactly what that is. I think the track record of Alabama quarterbacks made you hesitant to believe Bryce was going to be successful in the NFL. Yeah, a little bit. Definitely a little bit. But then again, it's not like he was really playing all that well to make me think he wouldn't be a bust either. And it was more, I have more of a an unreliance in Ohio State quarterbacks more so than I have an unreliance in Alabama quarterbacks. At least with their track record and what's been going on over there. I mean, there is C.J. Stroud, but now C.J. Stroud is also not really playing all that great. And then there was Justin Fields, who was like unbelievably terrible when he was on the Browns. I mean, he's been playing a little bit better on the Steelers, but again, he is the backup for a reason. But with Bryce Young, it was really like his size. When I saw that the offensive lineman would tower over him and he would barely be able to see what's in front of him, I thought it was bad news. Like, I didn't really think it would be the end all be all because, again, Kyler Murray. But based off of last season and how he started out in the beginning of the season, I completely wrote him off as a bust, and I didn't think that there was anything that he could have done. Now, that didn't mean that I felt like it was a good idea for him to be benched, because I honestly did not think it was a good idea for him to be benched, because I was like, all right, you guys have nothing, the Panthers have nothing to lose, right? You'd rather want to see Bryce Young take the field and gain that experience as opposed to Andy Dalton, where, like, you know what you're going to get from Andy Dalton, but Bryce Young, while I wrote him off as a bust, there was still small glimmers of hope because of his age. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt with that, and I thought it would have been. It's most likely that the Panthers were going to lose either way. So just give Bryce Young that experience. And I mean, so far he's been the reason why the Panthers have been able to stay in a lot of these games. I don't know what the benching did to him, but it's like I guess it really flipped the switch for him. I don't know what it was, but it's like this is a very cool story that we have for the for Bryce Young. But since we are incredibly low on time, I didn't even realize how low we are on time. I am going to have to go ahead and get into the next segment where I focus on NBA basketball and I do my predictions as well as I give a recap of all the games. Anthony's in the chat. Him and Tua are the same height. People make it seem that Tua's 6'1" when he's really at best, and I'm being generous, 6 feet, that was his cleats on. I think he's really 5'9". I mean, regardless, Tua's in a completely different situation. And Tua has actually, while I don't think he's a good quarterback, he definitely has value to Miami, and he's shown that. But that's really all that I have to say on this fourth segment. So now I have to go into the fifth segment because we are incredibly low on time, and I'll be right back after this short break.